chosen family is such a pivotal queer concept, practice. I feel like it's really a practice because I feel like we're always kind of building and deepening our chosen family bonds as queer people. But these are the people in our lives who really understand our experience and can kind of support us through all the ups and downs, both individually and collectively, that we go through as queer people, right? It seems so important. I'm always telling people in clients of mine and also just like working personally to be building up those bonds.
Yeah, I think I do know people that their chosen family is their number one family because their birth family has more difficult dynamics, or maybe they're not in touch with all of them, right?
Mhm.
That's not the case for me, but having also chosen family, chosen queer family has been really important for me as well.
Yeah. I think sometimes it becomes a little bit binary, like, oh, you need a chosen family if you're not close with your bio family or if they're like not accepting. But I think it's regardless. I think even if you are close with your bio family, like there's a lot of queer stuff that they just aren't going to understand, like the impact it has on your nervous system or like what it's like when the election happens for you as a queer person, you know. So I think we should all, as queer people, always be thinking about building, deepening, finding chosen family. And it is a lifelong thing. And it's something that you have to be so intentional about. You have to actually like carve out the time with people, deepen the relationships, like have hard conversations. So we're just going to talk about some tips for, once you have some people in your life that you feel like you're have potential to be chosen family, or maybe you're starting to become chosen family, what are some tips for deepening those bonds to really make them like really strong heart connections?
Yeah, yeah, good. Let's dig in. Let's hear.
I think this is the first thing, which is something that we preach a lot, which is it's sort of a simple thing, but it's also a very hard thing within our system, our culture that just tells you to keep charging forward and tells you to kind of ignore the messy emotions, right? And just like pretend everything's okay in your relationships. Um, Even like maybe for the most part it's okay, but there's some tension building up. So the first thing is really just to learn with your chosen family to go back to an unresolved moment. And Megan, we do this all the time. Like you are a member of my chosen family. And we do this all the time where you will come to me or I will come to you and we say there's something from a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago sometimes, where it's like, shit, I still am having feelings about this. And what is that about? And we over time have built up the foundation where we can do that. And it's like when you say that to me, I just immediately am like, okay, yes, let's get into it. But that took years to get to that place. And I think just like we're pointing at in this video, like that initial moment when you decide, okay, I'm going to bring up something that's unresolved with a chosen family member and how hard that can be.
So hard and I think scary most of all because most of us didn't grow up learning how to do this. So what we're scared about is, oh, if I bring this thing to this relationship that I am counting on, I really need this relationship. Um,
Mhm.
what if they don't take it well? What if they feel threatened in some way and I lose them? So it is really, really scary. So, the way in which you do it is also really, really important. Owning your own feelings and coming to it from a place of love as opposed to, you piss me off.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that this is how you deepen any relationship, right? I mean, it's not like a full-on deep relationship unless you can sort of do some of this. Otherwise, it stays pretty surface.
Yeah. I think you really build trust through these conversations where it's not just that everything is going along swimmingly. There's something that maybe happened and not all the feelings got out in the moment of when it happened. And so you're breaking that, you're breaking this rule that we're constantly told not to break, which is I'm going to go into the emotional space with you. And it might get a little bit messy, but my intention is for us to get back to like a healed a healed, loving, deep, trusting relationship. And if you can make that intention clear and the other person is actually able to join you in that space, yeah, that is what starts to build the foundation for deep, trusting, loving, chosen family.
And maybe not everyone will be able to do this right now. Some
Mhm.
people have just a lot of things, a lot of trauma that they're working through. They might, and that's okay. But you have to show up in a way that you want to create deeper relationship. And yes.
Yeah, I think I say that in this article too, that not everybody is going to meet you in that space. And so you have to go to that emotional space in order to test the waters to figure out who can join you in that space and who cannot. I've over the course of my life just had to recategorize certain friends as like more fun friends because
Right.
they either don't want to or cannot go to that space with me. And that's okay because I have found other people that can, and I still want them in my life, just not in that capacity, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I mean, every friend is not going to be the deepest, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But in this capacity, we're talking about chosen family. So we really are talking about the people in your life that can be fairly deep and consistent and safe relationships, right? To bring things to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you only know when you build up the courage to say, and it actually is quite simple when you actually say it. It's like, let's talk, right? Or can we talk? You can just text and say, can we talk today? And that just starts to open up that space. But if
Yeah,
you never do that, then it's like you can just keep charging forward and the relationship never gains like real depth.
that's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually did that recently with a friend. It didn't get into any big thing, but I said something that I was going to tell her about something, and then I don't know. I asked something about if she was like prudish or whatever, and which I don't know why I said that, but I think I was afraid of what she was going to say back to me, perhaps. But I brought it up again later. I said, I said that, and I wanted to give her room for her feelings, and
Mm.
and so it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like a huge thing, but I carried it with me. I was like, oh, I think I was shitty there, and I want to repair that. That didn't feel good.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I think sometimes you have this like sense like, oh, I did something that landed in a certain way. And then when you bring it, sometimes they just say, no, not at all. Other times they say, oh yeah, and there was something there. And then you can start to work through that tension and just get back to a loving place.
Right.
Some of the other things that we mentioned, just in terms of deepening chosen family, the ability to make plans, like be intentional with your chosen family members, like get things on the calendar, which is important, but then also coupled with that, the ability to be spontaneous, right? Like, so just call it, just FaceTiming out of the blue or asking them to hang out that evening. Esther Perel talks about this as like one of the main culprits of loneliness in today's society is that we don't just ask people to hang out that night. Like, what are you doing tonight? Well, do you want to have dinner tonight? My friend just did that to me last night, and I so appreciated it, but then I got really tired and couldn't do it. But I loved that he just said, "Do you want to have dinner tonight?"
Yeah.
So I think like there's a balance there between intentionality and spontaneity.
Exactly. So I have a thread with three other lesbian couples and myself, and I it is not unusual for me to text everybody and say, basically, where can I go to dinner tonight? Meaning, whose house can I come to? I'll bring something good. And I have just learned to do that, and it's so wonderful because it's like so low key and
Mm,
so it's kind of like asking for what you need, kind of getting out there. It's really easy to kind of get into your head about like, oh, I think I'm the only one inviting. I think I'm the one that has to carry this ball all the time and then feel resentful about that. We just have to keep letting that go, and we have to just be in touch with what are my needs, and then can I ask for them? Now,
Mhm.
if you have a friend that literally never responds or never like reciprocates, then that tells you a lot, right?
Yeah, but I do hear I hear with my clients a lot those narratives of I've done the inviting more than I've been invited. And they really just get in the way. I mean, they really just get in the way, unless, like you're saying, it's just a clear case of this person not giving space or
Yeah,
not trying.
yeah, totally.
I think the last thing that, well, it's sort of a maybe it's two separate things, but um, I feel like it's so important to tell your chosen family how you feel about them. And this is another thing where you can just be in what a good relationship and you just kind of like keep charging forward, but you don't really acknowledge that you love the person or need the person or depend on the person or that even that they are your chosen family. Um, so naming it is really the naming the chosen family thing can be really powerful. Naming that you actually like need or depend on the person. Those words have become so negative, you know. But I absolutely need my chosen family. I absolutely depend on my chosen family. And they know it. And just that you love them, like these, or just that you appreciate some small thing that they did for you, like actually giving voice to the love.
Mm. Yeah. I actually went to a funeral yesterday, and it was very moving, and all the kids spoke about their father who had passed, and it was just such a reminder that we don't always say the things, and if we can remember just to say the things while we have the chance, and again, I mean, if we kind of zone in on why do we not, maybe when we say, oh my gosh, I love you so much, or I really am so appreciative of having you in my life, I think society makes us feel like we're a little bit weak or needy or something.
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
so we don't do that, but I just don't
Mhm.
do that enough.
Right, right. So once in a while, just naming the feelings that are the good feelings that are coming up. I know when someone says something to me that is like appreciative, it just I don't know, it just allows my heart to open so much. Like it allows me to relax. I'm like, oh, this person actually really likes me. It allows me to just like relax. It allows my heart to just open even more. Like there's just more security in the relationship.
Totally. um yeah, so get out there and love your people, right?
Yeah, the last thing I was going to say is just reaching out when you're struggling. We are all struggling right now. We're all struggling on and off always. And it's so easy to isolate. There's a queer thing that happens when we are struggling the most. There's typically a voice that says to isolate, right? Because that was our original defense mechanism. The thing that like often saved our lives was our ability to recede. And so that's just something we have to challenge with our chosen family is to reach out when you're struggling, when you need it.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely relate to that because when I'm feeling down, it's sort of like, my inner children are feeling vulnerable, I'm feeling sad, or whatever the thing is. And those kids don't know how to reach out. They feel bad. They feel sort of ashamed. They feel sort of embarrassed.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just like, oh right, I have to reach out now because I'm feeling bad. No, you have to actually reach. Like it's very hard. You have to move through all of those feelings to do the reach out, and it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Um, thanks.